The AP poll dropped this morning, and as always, everyone has their own thoughts on how accurate it truly is. Instead of looking at the latest rankings and sharing my thoughts, I thought it'd be fun to share how my top 25 ballot would look if I was able to submit one. But before we get to today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to the channel. If you love college football content, then this is definitely the place for you. Also, drop a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on the rankings. It helps the algorithm of the video and helps share it with more college football fans. Plus, I'd love to see which rankings you guys agree or disagree with. If there are any other college football videos you'd like to see similar to this, drop a comment down below and it very well could turn into my next video. Alright, so here's how my top 25 would look. And yes, I know before you say anything, it's 100% accurate and perfect, and every team is ranked exactly where they should be. Alabama at number 1 is a very easy decision. They made Miami look like an FCS opponent as opposed to being a top 15 team. The Tide are going to be ranked number 1 all season unless something drastic were to happen. And no, Florida and Texas A&M fans, your team isn't going to take them down, but they might cover the spread. Georgia at number 2 was another easy decision. Their offense wasn't great against Clemson, but their defense was just insane. If Georgia is going to compete for a national championship this year, it's going to be because of their defense. But if JT Daniels and the offense is able to figure things out and get going, I think the Bulldogs are going to be a legitimate threat to Alabama this season. Ohio State comes in at number 3 even after their scare against Minnesota. After trailing at the half, the Buckeyes outscored the Gophers 35-17 in the second half and ended up winning by 2 touchdowns. I get that Minnesota made it probably more interesting than it needed to be, but I think this Gophers team is going to be solid in 2021. Plus, it was a very hostile environment to go into and win. CJ Stroud looked fantastic, and so did the entire Buckeyes offense. I was a little bit concerned though with the defense, but not enough to hurt their ranking. Coming in at number 4, we have Texas A&M, who looked like they'd potentially be in some early trouble against Kent State. At halftime, they led 10-3, but they outscored the Golden Flashes 31-7 in the second half. It wasn't a great season opener from Haynes King as he threw 3 interceptions. Still, the Aggies defense looked great and they were able to slow down an offense that was arguably one of the best in all of college football in 2020. Number 5 goes to the Oklahoma Sooners, who almost lost at home to a 31-point underdog in Tulane. To be fair, that line was way too high to begin with, as I think Tulane is a very solid team, but the fact that the Sooners almost dropped this game certainly is a bit concerning. Spencer Rattler looked okay, but I thought he could have been a lot better. We know that Oklahoma is going to have one of the top offenses in the country this season, but allowing 35 points to Tulane is definitely pretty worrisome. The Sooners defense is definitely something to monitor as the season progresses. Cincinnati never seems to get enough love, so I'm going to have them at number 6. They quietly handled business as they beat Miami of Ohio by 35. Desmond Ridder was excellent as he threw for 300 yards with 4 passing touchdowns, and the Bearcats defense looked as good as advertised. After seeing how Indiana and Notre Dame looked this weekend, I'm more confident in the Bearcats beating those 2 teams and potentially finishing the season undefeated. Number 7 though is where I have Clemson coming in. The funny thing is, if they were able to score just 1 touchdown, we're probably not thinking that their season is over. The offense couldn't do a damn thing against Georgia, but their defense was lights out. I think that this is more than a fair place to put Clemson this week. They did only lose by a touchdown to a top 5 team, but they also looked pretty bad doing it. They'll go undefeated the rest of the way and likely make the college football playoff, barring absolute chaos. Coming in at number 8 is where I have the Iowa Hawkeyes. I myself was high in Indiana, as was a lot of the country, and Iowa just completely manhandled them. They held the Hoosiers to only 6 points and held them to 230 yards. Behind Georgia, this might have been the most dominant defensive performance from the weekend. The reason I have Iowa at number 8 is not only due to their impressive win, but the fact that they've actually been one of the best teams in college football since last season. Going back to 2020, the Hawkeyes have actually won 7 straight games. They're legit, folks. Coming in at number 9 is another Big Ten team, Penn State. Speaking of great defense, the Nittany Lions defense was fantastic against Wisconsin. They made Graham Mertz look like a 3rd stringer and were able to force 3 turnovers. It's even more remarkable considering they were on defense for nearly 75% of the game. Just like Iowa as well, the Nittany Lions are one of the hottest teams going back to last season, as they've now won 5 straight games. Number 10 is the Florida Gators, who took down Florida Atlantic by 21 points. The Gators were in control all game, and it was interesting to see how their offense would look with so many weapons lost from last season. Emory Jones wasn't as great as I would have liked, as he completed 17 of 27 passes for only 100 yards and 2 interceptions. However, he did add 70 yards on the ground. I'm not personally high on the Gators this season, but for the sake of rankings for this week, they deserve the number 10 spot. Number 11 is Iowa State, and man was I disappointed with them this week. All offseason, I've been talking about them being a sleeper to reach the college football playoff, which they very well still could be, but they nearly lost their first game at home to Northern Iowa, as they only beat them by 6 points. Brock Purdy and Breece Hall were both very underwhelming, and I was shocked to see them struggle so much. I think that the Cyclones are going to be just fine in the long run, but yeah, seeing them struggle against Northern Iowa was definitely a little concerning. Number 12 is Notre Dame, who escaped Sunday night with a victory on the road at Florida State. The Seminoles took the Irish into overtime and a missed field goal Notre Dame to get the victory. I do think that Florida State is going to be a lot better than people are expecting this year, but this game shouldn't have been that close. Jack Cohn, he definitely blew me away with his performance. If he's able to play like this on a week-to-week basis, I actually think that Notre Dame could be a potential playoff team. Their defense was supposed to be their strong suit, but Florida State went right through them for 38 points and 450 total yards. Coming in at number 13 is our biggest jump, the UCLA Bruins. I have them as the highest ranked Pac-12 team, and that's because they were the best looking Pac-12 team from the first weekend. This team, I think, is a legitimate threat in the Pac-12, and it looks like Chip Kelly finally has a team that can make a run. Dorian Thompson-Robinson was excellent, and the running back duo of Zach Charbonnet and Britton Brown looks like it'll be a force to be reckoned with. This was an impressive win from the Bruins, as they dominated what many people believe to be a top 15 team in LSU. Well, if they could beat that quality of a team, then they're deserving to be in the top 15 team in my book. There seems to be a common theme with a lot of these ranked teams nearly losing. Oregon is at number 14, and they were in a close one with Fresno State. The Bulldogs actually had a lead in the fourth quarter, but the Ducks were able to pull away and escape with a 7-point victory. I said this in my video from the other day, but I just don't see this team making a playoff push with Anthony Brown as their quarterback. Now, I could be wrong and have to eat my words on that, but I don't think he's the quarterback that can lead them there. Oregon is going to be a great team this season, and they'll likely be in the Pac-12 title game, but this offense is definitely something that might concern me moving forward. An offense that won't concern me moving forward, though, is USC, who I put at number 15. They took down San Jose State by 23, a team that I'm very high on this season. After winning the Mountain West last year, the Spartans were the team that I had winning the conference yet again in 2021. USC's defense completely suffocated the Spartans' offense, which is what stood out the most. Kedon Slovis is going to be a Heisman candidate, and this will be a high-powered USC offense. But if their defense can show up like this on a week-to-week basis, I think the Trojans can potentially be a playoff sleeper. Texas is officially back, folks. Well, at least the number 16 on my rankings. I was very impressed with them this week. I like Louisiana a lot and thought they actually could beat the Longhorns. Texas's defense kept Louisiana out of it in the second half, which was really impressive considering their high-powered offense. Hudson Card looked as good as advertised in his first career start, and Bijan Robinson looked like he'll be a force to be reckoned with this season. Steve Sarkisian's team looked really good, but it is Texas. So give me another 6 weeks or so until I'm able to get too high on them. Here at number 17 is where we have Virginia Tech. What a game from the Hokies, as they made this North Carolina offense look terrible. They held Sam Howell to 200 yards and forced him to throw 3 interceptions. I know the Tar Heels lost a lot of talent this offseason, but this was still a team that was ranked number 10 in the country with ACC title game aspirations. I'm very interested to see how the Hokies can build off this win and see if they can make a potential run at the ACC title game. Up next, we have Coastal Carolina at number 18. They took care of business over the Citadel, beating them by 38 points. Grayson McCall completed 16 of 19 passes for 260 yards and a touchdown. The rushing attack was insane for the Chanticleers. Shamari Jones rushed for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns on 11 yards a carry. Reese White rushed for 60 yards with 2 touchdowns on 9 yards a carry. And Braden Bennett rushed for 50 yards and a touchdown, averaging 10 yards a carry. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that this Coastal Carolina rushing attack is going to be a problem all season. Number 19 is Wisconsin, who I talked about briefly earlier. Their defense was fantastic for the game, and had it not been for some stupid turnovers from the offense, they would have won. I think that they're going to be a great team in the Big Ten this season, but it's hard not to be concerned with that offense. The Badgers certainly will stay in games because of their defense, but they're going to need consistency on the other side of the ball if they want to have a shot at reaching the Big Ten title game. Number 20 goes to my Arizona State Sun Devils. Sadly, it's going to be probably another week until we just see how good this team can be as they play UNLV this week after having a 30-point victory over Southern Utah. Jaden Daniels might be receiving Heisman votes at the end of the season, and the Sun Devils might have the best running back duo in the country. No, seriously, by the end of the season, Rachaad White and Chip Trayanum will be talked about as the best backfield in America. There is still time for you guys to hop aboard the Herm train. Number 21 is going to go to North Carolina, who we just talked about a few teams ago. At the time we're recording this, I'm not sure how much they're going to fall in the rankings, but I think dropping them 11 spots is certainly fair. Hell, their defense kept them in the game. The offense just couldn't get anything going. I still believe this is going to be a top 25 team all season, and they'll probably make a run at the ACC title game. But then again, maybe they enter the season as one of the most overhyped teams in the country. Entering the top 25 at number 22 is Maryland, who had a very impressive win over West Virginia. Taulia Tagovailoa had a fantastic game as he threw for 330 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'm not sure what kind of noise the Terps are going to make in the Big Ten this season, but this was a very exciting opening weekend win for them, and definitely something they can build momentum on moving forward. Entering the top 25 as well, we have Ole Miss, who comes in at number 23. They dominated Louisville on Monday night, led by Matt Corral, who many think could be a Heisman sleeper this season. We all know that Ole Miss is going to have one of the best offenses in all of college football this year, but what stood out to me the most was their defense. If the Rebels' defense can be somewhat decent this season, and by decent, I mean allowing less than 30 points a game, they potentially can cause some problems in the SEC. I don't have Miami falling out of the top 25, but I think we need to pump the brakes on them being a top 20 team for now. Yes, I expected them to lose to Alabama, but losing by 30 is just embarrassing when you're ranked in the top 15. I think they're still going to have a solid season, and there's a strong chance they're going to be taking on Clemson in the ACC title game. Finally, ending the top 25 is going to be Michigan, who had a very impressive showing against Western Michigan. Their offense looked pretty solid, but losing Ronnie Bell to a season-ending injury is definitely a major blow for them. They're going to need other guys to step up in his absence, and I think they'll be able to as they have a number of other solid offensive weapons in the offense. Well, there you have it. There's my own personal top 25 after week 1 of the college football season. Now I know what you're thinking. Yes, this is a perfect top 25 ranking. Drop a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on my rankings. Now please, try your best to keep it PG-13 in the comments. Or, if you don't agree, feel free to let me hear about it as well. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. I'll be posting college football videos all season long, so if you're a college football fan, then this is definitely the place for you. If there are any other college football videos you'd like to see this week, drop a comment down below and I very well can make that my next video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.